So perfect. So jumping into this, right? So the I-9 Sports Experience, this is something that we focus on every single season, something I work very, very intense or closely with the staff with to ensure. And as you guys being volunteer coaches, you guys have a huge role to play into this as well, right? You guys are obviously out there engaged with the kids week after week. And our goal is to always, provide the utmost experience for the kids, right? Our number one goal is always to have fun. But what the I-9 Sports Experience is, it's that quality instruction that's fun for kids and convenient for busy families. And these different points we're going to go through are the things that we aim to hit each and every single week, each and every single season that we want you guys to kind of think about when you guys are out there as well. And like I said, the number one most important thing is for the kids to have fun, right? The reason you signed your son, your daughter up, more than likely is that you want them to go out there, you want them to have fun, right? You want them to meet new friends, you want them to try new things, and have different opportunities to play things, right? So all the things we do, all the practice plans you receive, all the ways that we run the programs are designed for those kids to go out there, have a constant smile, have a constant laugh, and just, encourage them to have fun, right? There's a very interesting statistic that we talk about here a lot when we're doing our meetings and things, is that 70% of kids drop out of youth sports by the age of 13, right? The leading reason for that being is that they lose the fun of the sport, right? Whether it becomes overbearing for them to continue it, they lose interest because coaching is a little bit more on the difficult side, or they just don't receive the support they need, right? For these age groups that we offer, right, the fun is the most important component. So when you guys are out there, you're coaching, you're doing your thing, just keep in mind that the end of the day, the main purpose that we're here, the main purpose that the kids are playing is to have fun, right? So we should be aiming to always have as much laughs, as much smiles as we possibly can. The next big factor that we look for and we strive to always keep up with is inclusivity. With this, you guys are also going to play a role in this. No child is ever left out. So if you guys are playing basketball, if you're playing volleyball, we want every single child to have an equal amount of playing time, right? Anybody who's at an I-9 sports event, they are required to play at least 50% of the game, evenly distributed. Now, obviously, if we have 7 players on our roster, there's only 5 players, on a basketball court. We'll help you guys out with the substitutions. Our staff will be out there giving different substitution times to assist you guys. We'll actually provide you guys with substitution sheets physically at the venue if you choose to use. But keeping that in mind, right, we want to make sure that all of the kids in your roster are getting those equal playing times. They're also getting the opportunity to try different positions, right? We don't want to specialize them. Often, this might be the first time a kid has ever played basketball. It might be the first time they've ever played soccer, right? We want to give them that opportunity to where they can try the different positions. They can be a defender in soccer. They can be a forward. They can play in goalie, right? So rotating them and giving them that opportunity really goes a very long way in their development. It goes a long way in their longevity of how long they might play this game, right? And you guys play a huge role in that. If you guys have any issues with substitution, you're getting caught up in the moment, you're struggling with it, our staff is there to help you guys. They're going to make sure that everything's going well as well, and give you guys those different times. If we're playing basketball, they'll give you like that half of the quarter to make those rotations. Same with soccer, and then volleyball, they substitute themselves. So rest assured, we'll make sure that you're good on that end. But just keep in mind when it comes out to putting players and things out there, we do want to make sure every child gets a chance to try every single position, just so they get the opportunity to play and learn what they like, what they don't like. The next big component here is obviously the safety. All of our volunteers, all of our staff, anybody that's working with those kids is going to go through our background check process. If you are in this call, you're a coach, you've been somewhat through the process, you might be all the way cleared through. The most important thing is that we get your guys' background checks back through that JDP link that you guys receive. I've texted them out, I'll email them out to you. I'll send out another wave of them probably tomorrow for anybody who has not completed it yet. But it is super duper important that you guys get that knocked out. That allows us to actually physically assign you to the team. So if you're signed up right now, you'll say, hey, I signed up to coach my son or my daughter's team, but I am not listed as a coach. It's probably because we're still waiting on that paperwork. So I cannot assign you until that background check gets put through. And again, it just comes into a safety thing. So anybody who's working the kids, whether it's staff, it's volunteer, they have to go through that process. So please make sure if you are still waiting to get assigned or something like that, which moment we like, I'm just waiting, I need to complete your background check. If you have any questions like that, feel free to reach out, just shoot me a message here at the end of the call, and I can also look into that for you. Another huge factor for us is the convenience of what I-9 Sports is, right? We definitely recognize, especially nowadays, kids are super duper busy, families are super duper busy, doing different activities. A lot of families have multiple kids, they're bouncing around like crazy. We want to make this as easy and convenient for you as possible, right? So we have that practice, we have that game on the same day. It helps you guys out as parent coaches as well, where, hey, I can come in, I can be involved in my kids' practice and game on the same time. I'm not taking away from another activity, not taking away from if I have another kid from their program. It's an all-in-one stop just to make it as easy as possible, as convenient as possible. and really build those skills week after week. So any sort of time you do a program with us, whether it's this season, it's next season, it's 5 seasons from now, that structure will never change. We want to make that as convenient as possible so that you guys can plan your schedules. Your kids have the opportunity to do different activities, and it's not a strenuous commitment on you guys to continuously play and be involved. Next is going to be the organization. If anybody here has gotten a chance to go through some of those coaches' resources, you'll see that they're very well organized out, from the weekly practice plans to our sportsmanship weekly values to everything we do, right? We're strong believers in organization, right? I think that's really what separates us from some of these other youth sports programs, is that we want to make it as easy for you guys to follow and be involved, right? Here's a practice plan for week 1. Here's the drills. Here's exactly what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And you guys can just take it and go, right? It takes the stress off of you guys to figure out, what am I going to do this week? If I'm a first-time coach, I'm not super as nervous. I have all these resources available to me, right? But we want to make that as organized as possible, right? It maximizes the kids' opportunities in terms of, how many reps am I getting? How many drills am I doing? What is the time frame going to allow me to do, right? You guys should have access to all of your schedules as well, so you can see when your practice start time is, when your game time start time is. Our staff is trained, so if you guys have a practice that starts at 9 o'clock, they're going to begin that session right on the money, okay? So plan, if it says 9 o'clock, we do mean 9 o'clock, right? If you guys are like, it's 9 o'clock, I'm going to show up at 9:05, you're going to be 5 minutes late, right? That leads back to that organization of what it is, right? We don't play around when it comes to schedules. We want to keep it straightforward and organized with it. So as coaches, I always encourage you guys, arrive 5-10 minutes early, just to make sure you guys are set to go. You can meet your kids, and you guys can go and get your bearings in you before we get things started. Next, sportsmanship, which we're going to talk a lot about here in the next couple of slides. But everything we do is going to be very, very centered around sportsmanship, right? I9 Sports, if you Google us, you look us up, that is everything to us, right? We have a bunch of different awesome sportsmanship programs and incentives that we drive to really encourage the kids on how to be when you're an athlete, right? Especially at this young of an age. We not only want to see them grow into be these phenomenal athletes, learning these different fundamentals, but also growing to be phenomenal people. And we'll promote that through a couple different programs we do. The most prominent one being our sportsmanship medals program, which you guys play probably the biggest hand in of all. But for us, we're more focused on the emphasis of fair play, right? Fair play versus in healthy competition versus how high can we score, make the score be, right? We want the kids to go out there, have fun, be involved. Obviously, there is a component to where there is a win. There is technically a winner and a loser, right? But that is not our focus at this level, right? Our focus is, they can win with grace, they can lose with grace as well, right? They learn those different, the right and the wrong way to do both, and then they learn how to take that forward with them as they grow into different programs, right? With the sportsmanship, we encourage you guys to really be on top of that with them, right? If kids are getting frustrated, if they're being down on themselves, if they're using negative language, right? Jump on it from the start, right? We want to see the kids really buy into these values that we're going to discuss here later on, and buy into what the meaning and the mission of the program is. Our staff will also be out there driving those messages, driving those different components we'll do as well. But as a coach, as a volunteer coach, the kids are always going to look at you guys first. So please help us help them with those programs and those incentives. And lastly, we will provide all the equipment for each practice and game. So if you're a basketball coach, you don't have to worry about bringing basketballs, jerseys, things like that. We'll provide those for you, the sizes, all sorts of stuff. So those should be out there on the courts or at the I9 Sports table when you guys arrive. We'll have those out there for you, so you don't have to worry about that. You can just come in and have fun and be involved. If you want to bring any other additional equipment, sometimes I've seen coaches bring in different things that they want to utilize in their practice. You guys are more than welcome to do that. But we'll provide you the basics and everything you need for our practice plans and things like that. One thing I'd always like to touch on, though, is that I always recommend, whether you're a parent or you're working with your roster, is recommend them to get a practice ball, okay? There's a ton of studies out there, but, if you use the same piece of equipment over and over again, typically skills come to children faster, right? So if you have a practice ball, you want to bring that from home, I always encourage people to bring that just to get that additional practice. The other reason we encourage them to bring that is that when a child, you guys are coaching them, they're getting trained up, they just learned how to dribble. If they have a ball at home they can practice with, now they can do that dribbling throughout the course of the week. Week 2, they see you. Now you guys can progress to the next drill, right? They've mastered that one drill. So we really, really encourage everybody to have those balls, have that equipment at home. Like I said, if they're unable to have that, they're not unable to bring it, that's not a problem. We'll provide it at the venue. But if you're able to, communicate with your parents, communicate with their parents, please encourage them to bring their equipment so they can practice with the same piece and then practice at home. The only thing with that, though, of course, is make sure you put their name on it. Whether it's your parent or you notice you have a child on the sideline who maybe they don't have their name on it, I receive, I can't tell you how many basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls at the end of every single season that don't have a name on it. They go to the land of no home balls. And they just sit in our garage here until somebody comes and claims them. So when you're out there on week one, just take a look, see if anybody put their name on it. If they didn't put their name on it, let's make sure we get their name on it. Nobody wants an upset kid because they lost their ball. That's always unfortunate. So awesome. So moving forward here, what makes a great coach, right? And this is something that we really we really encourage you guys to be very involved with, right? Being a coach of Illini, we make it as easy as possible. You guys are playing a huge role in the program, a huge role in a lot of these kids' lives, right? You might be the first ever coach, little Jimmy might have ever had. So some key points that we want to touch on here is the most important one, I think, is always to be enthusiastic, right? Whether it's a good play, it's a bad play, it goes the way you wanted, it didn't go the way you wanted, bring that enthusiasm, right? That smile. Find a way to have a high five, find a way to make an impact, right? I always encourage high fives, right? That's the one thing you can never run out of is high fives, right? Whether it goes good, it goes bad, get that high five, keep the kids' heads up, right? When it comes to organization, following those practice plans, right? The I-9 practice plans, they are super duper well organized. They're written out to make it as easy as possible. If you guys have any questions with those practice plans, our staff is also trained up on them. So if you're out there, you're a first-time coach, you're a second-time coach, and you have any questions, you're struggling with something in regards to the practice plan or even a drill of your own, feel free to grab any of those guys in the blue shirts. They're going to come out there. They're going to help you out, make sure everything is good to go. One thing I do like to know with the practice plans, right? So while we do provide them, if you have your own drills that you're like, hey, I want to run this drill, you are more than welcome to run those drills. Those practice plans are simply just there for you to utilize. So you're not required to follow them, but we do want to provide them so in the event that you do have a basis of a foundation of practice to make it easy for you as a coach. Next, we want coaches to understand the I-9 sports experience. Those things we just touched on, right? Why are we here? We're here to have fun. We're including the kids, right? The organization, going back to the practice plans, right? Thinking about those values, those week after week, is really what's going to help you guys succeed in this role as a volunteer coach. So when you guys are out there, you guys are being involved, just keep those different points and things in mind. That will help you guys succeed week to week. Next, obviously, you want to make sure you are staying calm and keeping perspective, right? I fully understand, this is, a sports league. Ultimately, some people, our drive is more so to win, to lose, whatever it might be, right? Just keeping things in perspective, right? You are a coach, right? You have your children looking up to you. The parents are looking up to you. You are the leader of this team, right? So when things go good, right, we're not being over celebratory. Obviously, we can celebrate. And when things go bad, we're not being down or negative, right? The kids, the parents, the crowd, they're going to reflect what their coach does and do. A little bit of a tongue twister there. So just keep things, in perspective. Why are we here? We're here to have fun. We're here to create an awesome and great environment for the kids. Whether it goes our way, whether it doesn't go our way, let's keep our heads up. Let's keep those smiles and keep that good sportsmanship. Next is making sure that everybody's having those equal playing time plans. That is super duper important, especially kids at this age in our programs, developing and learning how to play things for the first time. If you guys are struggling with this, if you have any fear about making sure everybody's getting an equal rotation, rest assured that, like I said, the staff is going to make sure that you guys are good to go, right? We have our substitution plans available on the website you can utilize. We have them available at the table. They're super duper easy. Just write in the kids' names and it will tell you exactly when to sub per the court and things like that. Our staff is also trained up to give you guys sub times to communicate, and they'll keep an eye on as well, right? If little Jimmy is struggling to get the ball in his hands or he's not getting out there on the court, we have different ways that we make sure that they get involved as well to ensure everybody's getting equal playing time. But as a coach, please try to keep an eye on that as well. We don't want, one player to not get an opportunity and ruin that experience for them. So as we're out there, just aim to make sure everybody's getting equal playing time or at least 50% of the game. And then lastly, just going back to that keeping calm and keeping things in perspective, right? This is a game. We want you guys to have just as much fun as the kids right there. So go out there, have fun. And like I said, when things go your way, celebrate. When things don't go your way, keep things, still positive, upbeat, showing the kids the right way to handle some of those negative adversities when they come. So some additional responsibilities for you guys, again, adhering to the I-9 sports experience, those different values, the fun, the inclusivity, the organization, the convenience factor of all those different things, right? That is something that you guys want to touch on and think about each week you guys are out there, right? Introducing yourself to your team. It seems pretty basic, but it really goes a very long way, right? One of our goals and one of our new initiatives we're doing this coming year. We've got some really cool plans for this, but we are really trying to build that community, right? We've want our coaches to coach season after season, bring back the same kids and teams like that, right? The only way to do that, though, is if our teams get to know each other. So on opening day, we have our coaches distribute their jerseys. Take the time to introduce yourself. Try to get to know the kids as well, right? This might be, like I said, you might be the first ever coach that this child has ever had, right? Try to make that initial contact with them to where it's making an impact right off the rip, right? That's super duper important. Once you get to know your kids, they get to know you. Everybody gets comfortable, good to go. It's a lot easier to coach than versus if you're still learning a child's name at week 3, week 4, week 5, right? So take a few minutes at the first day of your practice just to get to know everybody and start to learn some names and things like that. When you guys arrive to your venue this coming weekend, we're going to give you guys a jersey bag. In that jersey bag is going to be your coach's shirt. Please try to wear that each week to the venue. It just helps us out. It helps our staff out. It helps the parents know, who is the coach of each team. We can indicate a coach when it comes to game time, when it comes to practice time. Who do we need to speak to? If there's an issue, if there's something we need to discuss or whatever it might be, makes things easy, and it just adds to that overall experience. So you guys will receive this shirt on opening day. It will be in that jersey bag. If you get the shirt and you say, hey, this is too small, this is too big, just speak to one of the staff members. We'll have some extras we can exchange it out for. But each and every single week, please try to wear that red shirt for me. Next, please arrive on time for us. Like I said, you guys are coaching. You don't need to arrive any sort of drastically time early, like 30 minutes early. That's a little too much. But if you guys are able to, please I always say try to show about 5 to 10 minutes early, just to go ahead and talk to the staff, get yourself checked in, grab your sportsmanship medal, and kind of get your bearings underneath you before we get the program and the session started. When you do arrive at each and every venue, you're going to go to that red I-9 sports table. On that table, we're going to have our coach check-in sheet. Again, this is going to go back to that background check. If you are still in process with the coaching, your name is not going to be on that check-in sheet, okay? So don't freak out. It just means I'm waiting on some paperwork. I'm waiting on whether it's you or our partner at JDP. But you're going to arrive to that table. There's going to be a coach check-in sheet. On that check-in sheet is going to have your team name, all the coaches, what color you're wearing, what jersey you're going to be at, or what court you're going to be at, and what our sportsmanship value is. So when you arrive, please go to that table. If you're taking a pen, put a check mark next to your name. From there, you're going to grab your sportsmanship medal. Our staff should be there to greet you. If you have any questions, they can answer any questions for you as well. But this just helps us keep track of who's there, who's not there. If coach is unable to make it and we weren't aware, it helps our staff also know that, hey, Team Barcelona's coach is missing today. We can immediately hop in and make sure those kids have somebody working with them, so they don't waste 10, 15 minutes of their first practice time and take away from their overall venue. So that's a super important piece. So like I said, when you arrive, please just make sure you check into the table. Next, another huge responsibility is, again, related to those sportsmanship medals, right? You guys are going to be huge drivers and factors of what this is. Those weekly medals are huge to our program. It's huge to what we're trying to achieve here. In short, which I believe there's another slide, we'll go a little bit more detail, but in short, each week we're going to have a value of the week. And a little bit of insight for you. Week 1, it's enthusiasm, right? You guys, we'll bring the kids in, we'll talk about what does enthusiasm mean, right? Enthusiasm is having that high energy. It's being excited. It's finding reasons to smile, to laugh, things like that, right? From there, you guys are going to decide which child you felt best exemplified that value of the week. At the end of the game, you're going to give them that medal. The big thing with that is we want to make sure we're actually presenting the medal to them, right? This is, again, might be the first time they're receiving an award. It might be the first time they're being recognized for something. And if we just kind of give it to them and we kind of blow it off, it might, take away from that moment for that child. So for you guys as coaches, for you guys being involved as leaders of the team, please take the time to really make this a big deal, right? This is where children will learn, what is respect? What is leadership? What am I being actually recognized for? I guarantee if you make it a big deal, little Jimmy or little Sarah, she's going to remember what respect means to her for a lot longer than if we just say, hey, you want it for respect, hand her the medal and we walk away, right? So please take the time, add a little bit of energy, a little bit of spice to it so the kids remember and really learn what those values and things are. And then the last responsibility, again, just kind of going back to that previous slide, is just staying calm, even when people are not, right? We are coaches. It is a sports event. I understand things get competitive, but again, keep perspective. This is for the kids, right? We're not in the NBA. We're not in the, unfortunately, I don't know what the professional volleyball league is, right? We encourage you guys to have that healthy level of competition, right? But keeping it calm, right? We want the kids to have fun, and the kids are going to react the same way that we react, right? If we're negative, if our heads are down, if we're, throwing our hands up in the air, the kids are going to do the same thing, right? We certainly don't want them to have that negative attitude. So when things go our way, again, celebrate, be excited. When things don't go our way, still keep those smiles, keep those thumbs up, right? Giving those kids those high fives and just staying calm as we progress through the course of the season. So for you guys, this is a big slide, what to expect on opening day. So I always recommend to everybody, especially on opening day, arrive a few minutes early. This is one you're going to get an email. I believe it's going to go out Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to have a little bit more details on your venue. It's going to be a venue map on there, where you can park, where the venue entrance is, the gyms, all sorts of things in there, right? So when you get that email Thursday, just take a look at it so you have a little bit of insight going into the week. When you arrive at your venue, though, your first thing you're going to do is you're going to arrive in there. You're going to go to our red I-9 Sports table. Our staff's going to be there. They're going to greet you. They're going to show you exactly what the coach check-in sheet looks like. They're going to help you get checked in. Like I said, on that sheet, there's going to be a lot of great information for you, right? So one's going to have your name on there. It's going to have the value of the week. It's going to have the what color jersey you're wearing, what court you're going to be at. A lot of great stuff on there. So when you arrive, look at that sheet, put a check mark next to your name, and grab your first I-9 Sports sportsmanship medal. From there, the staff, if they haven't already, they might sometimes they put the jersey bags out on the court. If they haven't, they're going to give you your team's jersey bag. They're also going to give you a copy of the roster. From there, they'll send you to your court. They're going to, as the kids come in, send the kids over to the court so you can have the chance to actually distribute those jerseys to the kids. We like to do this because it's a really easy way for you to break the ice, right? The kids come in, you say, "Hi, I'm Coach Reese." We hand them the jersey, "Nice to meet you," and it gets a little bit of an easy icebreaker. It's an easy way to introduce you guys to the kids. So you guys will go to your courts and get your jersey bags that way. Your shirts are also going to be in those jersey bags, and then we'll kind of get things rolling that way. So once those kids all roll in here, we'll get them all set up here. We usually give it a few minutes for everybody to say hello, maybe play some name games, a couple of icebreakers. We'll begin the announcements a few minutes afterwards. Our staff is going to kind of take over. Welcome you guys in, welcome the program in, get you guys usually started on a quick warm-up before we get things kind of rolling. From there, most of the time week one, we will lead the practice. If you guys want to lead your own practice, just let the staff know in week one. You guys are more than welcome to do that. But typically the staff will jump in there and lead it. So again, if you want to do that, you're more than welcome, but they'll lead it for that. Once we conclude that practice, we'll bring the kids in. We'll go over the week, the word of the week, right? So obviously that being enthusiasm, the kids will get a chance to speak up. We'll be excited for them, really get them amped up, ready for their week one game. An important note for you guys to know for those, the league-wise, is week one is just going to be a scrimmage, okay? We're going to keep score internally just for our staff to practice, kind of get the rust moving on some of their gears. But we're not going to record those scores per the league, okay? The reason we do this is, one, this is oftentimes it's a kid's first time playing a sport. It gives those kids who are new to it a chance to go out there, make those mistakes, get those teachable moments and things like that. Other reason too is that when the kids that are returning, gives them just an opportunity to be a refresher, of course, right? So week one is going to be very, very much so educational. Give an opportunity for them to learn the rules again, go over anything sort of changes in our rule books, things like that, as we get ready for week two. Starting week two and onward, we will keep score, and the league will be updated week after week after that. Once the game is over, that scrimmage is over, we'll send you guys off to your teams. That's where you guys will come in to roll. You'll go over the things you want to go over, the things you saw, obviously say goodbye to everybody, and then you'll present that week one sportsmanship medal to the teams. So the sportsmanship medals, again, this is a very, very huge, important, impactful thing that we try to do league after league. So once you guys, finish up your spiel, you finish saying what you want to say, the things you would focus on, the things that you want to know, we're going to be presenting our sportsmanship values. So the kids are going to be huddled around you. You're going to go over what is enthusiasm again, right? These are key moments in our league, right? This is what we really want to push these kids. Because again, as much as we want to make them great athletes, we want to teach them the great fundamentals, we also want to see them grow into great people, right? Great students, great young men and women as they progress through their careers of athletic. And even if they do choose to leave sports, they at least take these values with them. They can look back, they can learn. Coach I.C. Tyler. So Coach Tyler taught me this, for week after week. I'm always going to remember Coach Tyler because of this, right? Every single week is going to have a value. Week one is going to be enthusiasm, like I said. You guys are going to get these values in a couple different ways. So you're going to receive an email from us at the start, or at the end of each week, just a quick weekly newsletter. Hey, here's our word of the week. Here's any additional information you need to know. If you arrive to the venue, you're still not sure, it's going to be on that coach check-in sheet for you as well. With our coaches training, those practice plans, it makes it even easier on there too. It's going to give you a definition on there. It's also going to give you a couple of different examples you can utilize when you are going over the word with them. If you can't think of anything on the fly, just whip out that practice plan, take a quick look. More than it's going to help you make sure that we can drive that message to these kids. An important thing for you guys is that every child should receive one sportsmanship medal by the end of the season, okay? Now, obviously, some of our rosters, we have 10 players to a roster, we might have 12 players to a roster in our volleyball program. On those rosters that have more than 6 players, you just have to give out multiple a week, right? So find a way, if little, John and little Susie both were super duper enthusiastic in week 1, and you have more than 6 players, you can give them both a medal, okay? But it's just super important that everybody gets that medal, gets recognized in some sense for that. When you guys give out those medals, going back to kind of what I was talking about earlier, this is very much so what you make of it, right? And what I mean by that is that you guys are really going to are giving out those medals. If you're unable to make a week, obviously our staff will be giving them out. But I always encourage people, right? Take those medals out of the plastic, right? Put it around the child's neck, make it a big deal, right? This might be their first time being recognized. It might be their first ever award. We want them to remember this week after week for the rest of their lives, right? Make it impactful, right? Get the team involved, get the claps going, a drum roll, little things like that really add the value to this. So when you are out there, just take into account, what can I do to maybe take this an extra step so that this child, this impact we're about to do here really takes it on. They really understand the message and the drive that we're trying to achieve here. A couple of other things we're going to be doing, you'll notice these things around the venue is our sportsmanship award winners. This is just another incentive we're utilizing to really recognize those kids, to give them that special moment of things they're doing. So around the venues, around the programs, if you're in an outdoor venue, we'll have a ton of them out there in the spring season. But in our winter venue, these will be posted around the walls and towards the site table. Is that these are it's basically a photo op for the kids, right? If they get a medal, we encourage them go to the award winner sign or the award winner setup and get some pictures with your parents, right? This is just another thing to recognize them for those awesome, memory that they made. They did a great job of showing enthusiasm. They did a great job showing respect. Take pictures, take involvement, things like that, right? This is meant to, display, celebrate that awesome achievement. I always tell the parents, this is your chance to put your kid online and show your neighbors why your kid is better than their kid, right? When you guys are out there, encourage them to take pictures of that. If you want to take team pictures like that, we are really trying. We want to see what you guys are doing. We want to see the awesome impacts you guys are making. So if you do take those pictures, you do post them online, please tag us. If you're in our Loudon location, our Instagram and our Facebook is going to be at I9Sports165. If you're in our Fairfax side of things, our tags are at I9Sports307. It's also at I9Sports307 on the Facebook. I just mistyped that. But please post those things on there for us. We really love to see it. We get in this office a lot. We're working a lot. We don't always get to get out to the program. So we want to make sure we can see those awesome impacts that are happening and spreading the cheer of what I9 is trying to achieve. The next thing I was going to talk about is this is a new role that's designed to kind of help you guys out as coaches, right? So this is our team parent or team helper role. So when we get off of this call today, what you can do if you choose, is you can send a message to the team, see if anybody would be interested in taking this. But the idea that this is a team parent, right? This gives access to another parent on the team to be involved, maybe not in a coaching role, but more in a support role to you, right? This role is really about building that community, building that team relationship, like we discussed kind of at the start, things that we're trying to do this upcoming season, helping out, so you can just focus on the core. You can focus on the game, what's going on. These people, they're going to assist more so in helping out with making stack sign up, helping out with maybe for doing team parties, getting the team together for something outside of I9, right? If you maybe need a second set of hands, or you're doing a drill, hey, this, we need somebody else to throw another ball, right? This is the parent that you can utilize and reach out to. So if you guys have any parents that you personally know already on your team, anybody who might be interested in this, they can sign up for this just the same way you guys signed up through that volunteer application. They will have to complete the same background checks and still have access to the rosters and things like that. But relatively, this is an awesome new role that we're trying to introduce and really get rolling here. So I do encourage you guys, when you guys get off of this meeting here in a few minutes here, please reach out to your team, see if any parents want to be involved in this facet. It does make it easier on you guys. We've run it a few times. It just takes some of those additional responsibilities off your back so you can just go out there and be purely coach. And so, like I said, I like to leave a little bit of time here at the end. So I'm going to be staying on here a little bit, but some questions as you guys go through the course of the season, right? If you have any questions you want to directly to the league, if you're in our Fairfax league, that email is going to be league.office307@i9sports.com. This number here is going to be to our customer service line. That's going to be 703-496-4433. If you're in our Loudon league, if you have any questions for the season, the email to reach out to is leagueoffice165@i9sports.com. That customer service line is 571-225-5494.